Hi guys, welcome back. It's Ben, the wibbly wobbly Harley boy here. Just got back, fresh off the John O'Groats trip. 1900 miles, 4 days, no issues. Get in. Well, I say no issues. I did have one small problem with the front exhaust gasket, which I'm going to be changing today because I had a slight leak on it and the bike now sounds like a bag of spanners. So stay tuned, see how it's done. So first off, I'm going to start by removing the heat shields. Obviously when I start the bike up, I'm going to try and get it quite hot so that I can heat up the exhaust studs so that it'll be easy for me to remove the nuts. I don't have a blowtorch or anything like that, so the ideal thing for me is to start the engine, let it run, get it as hot as I possibly can, and then try and whip those nuts off the studs. But obviously I can't get to the nuts without removing the heat shields, so I'm going to take them off first so that they're not too hot once I've got the bike up to temperature. Up here for thinking. Right, so what I was saying is, on these Vance and Hines short shot pipes, this front heat shield gets in the way of getting a socket up into that gap there. So that's the reason for me removing the heat shields. So the Vance and Hines short shots heat covers have Jubilee clips on, which hook around the exhaust pipes and secure them to the pipe themselves. Using a 6mm, using an 8mm socket and a massive extension, I'm going to get down the back of the brake pedal and undo that Jubilee clip. The front one can just use the little bit. There's actually 3 on this pipe. Guess I should have mentioned that. Make that 4. Back to the long extension. Or not. Bit of a change of plan. Ratchet and a little extension. Alternatively, a flat blade screwdriver. So I decided against removing the complete short shot heat shields because I would have had to move this brake pedal. So I've removed the top 3 Jubilee clips in order to allow me enough space to get the socket right in. WD-40, plenty of that stuff. I'll leave that to soak for a bit, then start the engine, get it up to some temperature, and hopefully be able to wind them out. So the WD-40 has been soaking for 10-15 minutes or so. I'm going to start the engine now, get it running. Might want to put your rear defenders in. And there you have it. Squealed like a piggy. Just that one to get now. Great. In typical Sportster fashion, that bottom front stud has come out with the nut. Typical. One thing I did forget to mention, before you remove the exhaust, you need to unplug the O2 sensors, which is just a cable that runs from the exhaust round to the other side of the bike. So just off the exhaust pipe there runs this little cable all the way down to this little plug here. Lift and pull, just comes open like that. It's down the back here. There is, should be 2 bolts, but one of mine's threaded, and there's one on the bottom bracket as well. Bottom bracket is the one I'm going to be undoing because that's the bottom pipe. 1/2 inch wrench or spanner if you're from England. Anti-clockwise. Just set that off, and hopefully the pipe is just going to drop off. So things aren't looking great. It appears something might be missing off the top of this front pipe. If we have a look up inside there, there's the gasket, but there's also what looks like the metal rim that's usually on top of the pipes to hold it in. Might be in a bit of trouble here. So that's what's normally attached to the top of the pipe, and then up inside there is the gasket. Pulling it out with this pick. So that is the exhaust gasket, which looks a bit knackered, and this is usually still on the pipes, so I don't know if my pipes are knackered or whether we'll get away with something. Right, so I've removed the exhaust. This is the offending ring, which is actually sits on there. What you have is this part goes over there like so. This cap then goes on there. The gasket goes on the top inside the engine, and when you tighten the exhaust studs up on this, that crushes that into position and creates a nice seal between this part, the gasket, and the piston head. So there you go. So I'm going to take this ring, I'm going to sit that on top of the pipe like that. I'm going to take my rubber mallet and give it some taps till it closes this rim around here, and that sits nicely on the top there, like so. So that's flush all the way around that rim there. Just a helpful tip, it does help to reattach these once you've removed them. They slot round inside the heat shield and then locate around the pipe itself. They can be a bit of a pain to get back slotted through here once the pipe's back on the bike. So what I decided to do is slot them through there first, and when I can secure the pipe back on, and just bend these around the pipe to get them back on. So what I have just realised is I was going to leave this pipe and not bother doing the gasket, but as you can see up there, I appear to have lost a nut on both sides. So yeah, that's going to get reattached. So what I'm going to do is clean all this crap up. And see all this corrosion around here. It picks that up. And there, look. With it being at the front of the bike, it gets all the gunk and crap all on this front edge. Ruins the thread pretty much. So I'm going to clean it all out. Maybe put some fresh nuts on it. Going to clean it Del Boy style. Dremel in the vise with a wire brush on it. Much better. Now to get this back in the bike, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to put another nut on the top, tighten it right up to this nut, and then wind them. Can you see that? I'm going to put another nut on the top of here, and then wind those two back into the head of the engine, just to keep it nice and secure. And then I can take that nut back off, which will leave this one nice and solid. So I'm just about to do the gasket on the back one as well, seeing as I've got a pair, and it makes sense to do them both, seeing as I'd lost the nuts off this pipe. Right, so remove the battered old gaskets. Got two fresh ones, courtesy of Tony on Facebook. His name on Facebook is Tony Greasy. Good guy, supplied me with some parts before. Always great service. And these in particular, he's even put some packers around them so they don't get crushed or wrecked in the mail. What a guy. So we've got two new gaskets, two manky ones, they can go in the bin. And put these where they need to go. This gasket, chamfered edge, face outwards, is going to sit inside the hole up there. I'm going to need two hands to do this. Right, so managed to get it nicely seated up inside the head of the engine. Next thing to do is to insert this part here with the ring over the top, line this up with the studs, and then wind the nuts back on. So here goes. Alright, so that's the rear pipe done. As you can see, shiny new brass nuts. The reason I've used brass ones is they're less likely to corrode, so hopefully they'll be a little bit easy to get back off if I need to either change the pipes or put a new gasket in, etc. So that was a pain in the arse. Now I've just got the front one to do. Right, so the next gasket is about to go in. Right, that's the second one in. Looks a little bit messy. Had a bit of a problem just getting it in around this bottom edge. Sort of bent a little bit, but they're made of like layers and layers and layers of metal. So hopefully when I put the pipe in and tighten that back up, that's just going to squash it in anyway, create a nice seal. Right, so what I did with the last one is I nobbled a bit of copper grease around the stud just to ease these nuts going onto the stud itself. I've been reliably informed that Loctite will not work on these due to the heat, and to be fair, if it did work then you'd probably have trouble getting them off anyway. So I've put a load of copper grease on that stud just to ease the nut going on. Success! So all that's left to do now is to clip that heat shield back on, tighten up those Jubilee clips, and the job's a good one. One last thing, don't forget to connect up your O2 sensor before you try and start the bike. So that's it. I'm going to start the bike now. Hopefully you'll hear a bit of a difference from last time. Might not even need your earplugs. So there we go. It's not really a tutorial, but rough idea of how to change the gaskets on your pipes if you need to. Must say, sounds so much better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Coming soon. New clutch plates in a 1964 Yamaha YG1.